A couple of follow-up questions on Europol, first of all. If we crash out with no deal, can you let us know what happens to joint operations that the UK is involved in at that time? Can we carry on? I think Lynn Owen said that she was hopeful that would be the case, but it depended on some sort of legal agreement.
So joint investigation teams, I think the number is 54, I will check that for you, have already been transitioned to the arrangements that will follow after EU exit. So there will be continuity in those investigations.
Even if there's no deal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. But afterwards, it's correct to say that the UK wouldn't be able to instigate or lead joint operations?
Yeah. There's probably a twin track. So under the 1959 Convention, we could still lead a joint investigation team. It would be under that convention, not under the Eurojust as is. The only difference is Eurojust, when you do a joint investigation team, comes with funding to allow you to go over, plan operational meetings. The 59 Convention doesn't. So there's a monetary difference. But other than that, it's exactly the same. But of course, for other European countries who are still able to use JITs post whenever we leave, they can still invite us to be part of that. So if they had intelligence and information that said, I guess leading back to your county lines piece, which is drugs are coming in from Amsterdam or Antwerp and the Dutch are involved, the Spanish and the French, and we know it's coming to a port in England, they could still invite us to be part of a JIT. So we wouldn't lead it, but we'd be part of it, so it would allow that operational crossover to continue.
Okay. And in terms of access to data tools like Sienna and so on, after no deal, you spoke about the fact that on day one that you'd suddenly have to have all these intensive negotiations for bilateral arrangements. I think you used the word days, hopefully, but in that period of days, what is the impact, what are the dangers, and what is it we're losing access to exactly, what sort of information?
If we crashed out without a deal, then we come out of Europol until we can negotiate our way back into a third-party agreement, I suppose, in the way that Canada does, the American and Australians do. But that would mean for that period of time, whilst that negotiation is going on, you would lose access to Sienna and to the tools that we currently use, because we wouldn't actually be in Europol.
And what can you say more about what that actually means, or what sort of information is it that we are losing access to on Sienna, and how will that impact on day-to-day policing? Yeah,
so Sienna is a secure communications channel between member states, so you can share intelligence and information, so you can do it instantly. It's like an email, really, between member states. So you would lose the ability to do that. You would have to either go through an Interpol route or go through a partnership route. You'd lose access to European Intelligence System, EIS. So all those tools that we currently use, we just wouldn't have access to. We'd have to either go through Interpol or go through a third party, so it would delay things that we were doing.
And in terms of trying to do it on a bilateral or partnership basis in the meantime, I think we were told previously that some countries might be more willing to do that than others. There could be problems, for example, with Germany, just because of some constitutional safeguards it has around data protection and so on. Is there an analysis about where there might be difficulties getting information sharing done?
Yeah, the Home Office have done some work around that, so they've been plotting which countries will automatically be okay with extradition. Germany's one where they don't extradite their own nationals because of their constitution, but you can prosecute in those countries if you have somebody. So there would have to be some arrangements. But the Home Office has done quite a lot of work, and I don't have it to hand, but they've been mapping that out about where they need to kind of interdict.
Absolutely. And to give us the capacity to do that, the National Crime Agency are surging additional international liaison officers into European embassies to allow that bilateral relationship to flourish.
And how long do you anticipate that this sort of broader operational agreement would take to negotiate?
Well, as I said earlier, it's not something that we are able to influence. We hope for it as quickly as possible, but actually the mechanics of negotiating that are something that we are personally not sighted on.
How long did it take the Americans, for example, to do you know?
I have to say, I don't know how long it took the Americans. There's a number of stages to go through, and it is exceptionally complicated. So the first stage you could go through, and it's not necessarily the case that these are sequentially, is a working arrangement which would give some access to the Sienna messaging system, which would be useful because that would allow us to use it to message EU member states, but crucially not Europol as a concept. The next stage would be an operational agreement, but that would require a data adequacy agreement with the EU. And of course that is fairly crucial, that would allow the exchange of personal data, and that's with Europol. Yeah. That's not to say you couldn't exchange personal data with individual states, or individual states en masse, but not through Europol. So it is really complicated.
But that would depend on those individual countries' own provisions. Again, as I understood it, some of them might have slightly higher standards.
That's true. And as Richard said, a lot of in-depth analysis and negotiation being undertaken by the Home Office. My sense is actually that predominantly EU member states have indicated their willingness to continue to share that personal data, but I haven't got the detail on that.
And a final quick question, if I may, going back to this issue about what's on the SIS II database as opposed to the I-24 database. You've given these incredible figures about how there's 82 million alerts in one and hundreds of thousands on the other. But in terms of the nature of those alerts, I mean, is there any rhyme or reason as to why countries put some only on SIS II and not on I-24/7? Or is it, for example, I mean, can you assure me that there are not alerts about very serious criminals that are only on SIS II as opposed to I-24/7?
So I can't give you that assurance. The reasons why countries would use SIS II rather than I-24/7 or both, sometimes it comes down to geography. Yeah. It'll come down to where they typically would expect people to be found. And of course, if you're in Europe and you don't have any external borders, then you might think that SIS II is the appropriate route to take. What I can't assure you are that countries will have put a SIS II alert on for a serious criminal and it's not replicated on Interpol I-24/7. That may well be the case, and that's one of the challenges.
Okay, so you're talking serious violence, murders, drugs, conceivably...
A range of offences. Yeah. You would expect, of course, that the more serious offences, EU member states would have taken the step of putting it on both systems, but I can't sit here and give you a guarantee that we know that to be the case. I mean, to be clear, we do know that EU member states make extensive use of I-24/7 because, of course, they are guarding against their people, and but they're guarding against them leaving Europe, of course, so that's why I-24/7 is important. The other point to make, of course, is we're talking a lot about people here. Those I-24/7 alerts and SIS II alerts include property and vehicles, and millions of those alerts will be around property indexes as well.
Yeah, and sorry, I'll just add to that. I mean, it really is down to the individual member state about how much they use 24/7. And to be fair, we've not been the greatest at using it either. Look at missing people. Just earlier on, we have 200,000 odd people go missing a year, and I think we probably put 10 people on the Interpol system last year because we relied on SIS II, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of our member states do the same.
Thank you.
So how many of the 27 EU countries put all of their SIS II information onto the I-24 system?
Couldn't get, I don't know. I can find out for you and write back to you, but I don't know.
I'm slightly surprised you don't know that. I'm slightly surprised you don't have a sort of clear assessment of the scale of the gap.
Well, we've been working with the Home Office. So the Home Office have got a mapping system where they've done that. So I don't have it to hand. That's the only reason
they
I
have
can't
it.
answer. Yeah.
And how many EU countries put all of their red notices, or all of their European arrest warrants, also on the red notice system?
That I don't know.
It's the same issue. We know that a lot of mapping has been done on that, and it's formed the engagement plan that the Home Office have delivered.
And would it surprise you if none of them put all of their either alerts or arrest warrants onto the Interpol systems?
It wouldn't surprise me if they don't put all of them on, because of course if you're in a country and you're expecting that person not to go outside those 27 member states, there actually would be no reason at the moment to put them on the I-24/7 system, because of course we are still in at the moment. Now that may be changing, and we've certainly been talking to partners about the need to do that, otherwise we don't have visibility. But at this current time it wouldn't surprise me, because if you are confident they're not going anywhere else and they might go in 3 or 4 different countries, then you wouldn't need to.